Welcome, welcome, fellow entrepreneurs. My name is Alex Glassey. I am the author of Customer Dreams, a fabulous book that all of you should be downloading and reading or purchasing online from Amazon. I'm also the host of BusinessPRO TV, and I am delighted, literally delighted to be back here for episode 6. We've finished off the first 5 episodes, which are all about kind of getting a macro perspective on our business and getting us into the habit of working on our business rather than in it. We've done all that, and now we're going to get into the next 7 episodes, which are all about pricing. So I'm going to come back to that in a sec. So hello to you all. Welcome. And as you may have heard Steph say a minute ago, we are... Let's just see. It is the day of the harvest moon. And this is a picture of the harvest moon from previous years in Victoria, BC. You see the surf splashing up in front of us. The harvest moon is, having one in October is quite unusual. Normally it's a September moon. And I could talk a lot about harvest moon, but I don't have the time. What I did want to do is just to welcome you all here. And as is the practice, is to give us all 2 or 3 seconds to congratulate ourselves for setting aside the time and just being grateful for the business that you've got and the skills that you have and the fact that you're learning even more. So say hello to the harvest moon tonight when you see it rise. All right, let's get on to things. This is BusinessPRO TV. We're here live Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5 p.m. Pacific. If you are watching this right now in YouTube Live, because our technology simultaneously streams into YouTube, if you're watching at YouTube Live, come to this URL, f2f.live/AlexG, and you can just join the merry band of thieves who are all over the world. And you can contribute either by chat, and later on in the show, you can come in live with your mic and your camera. You can talk and share your experiences with us. Going to keep going. You know from the first 5 episodes that as a business owner, you have the power to design the business you want. You have the responsibility to design the business you want. Ain't nobody going to do it for you, and that's why you're here. So welcome. We are going to talk about pricing. It is the single best way to simultaneously improve revenue, improve your gross profit, and improve your customer satisfaction. We have 7 episodes, and today's episode is all about the amazing power of price. We're going to talk about just give you some insight into how powerful this thing really is. And also we're going to talk about confidence. And I'm not going to say anything more about it other than we're going to talk about confidence. We're going to cover off pricing power, the 3 biggest mistakes of pricing. We're going to talk about the pricing box. As many of you know, I like boxes, or I like to use boxes in my teaching. We talked about the transaction box a couple of episodes ago. We're going to talk about the pricing box today, and then we're going to talk about confidence, our own personal confidence, for good or ill, because that is where our ability to price starts with. Okay, by the way, a word from our sponsors. The tech that we are using to take this show, to share my screens, to drive it out to as many as 1 million people simultaneously, all with 0 lag, and then to drive this simultaneously into not Facebook, that's coming, into YouTube Live and record it there. It's called F2F Live, face-to-face broadcasting. And this is a hint of the new website that is coming when we release Beta 2, which I've now seen and we're working on. We got a full day session tomorrow to go through it all. But this is a sense of the new look and feel that is coming your way. This is incredible stuff. I'm so proud of it, so delighted to be using it. All right, let's keep going. A little homework from last time. I just want to wrap up the last time. You know, we were talking about strategic roadmap, and I didn't get as much commentary as I normally do after the session. I think people were just like tired, and that was really the comment that I got was there was a lot of things that we talked about in those first 5 episodes, And there was a lot of things. And so people were needing time to just sit on it and reflect. And that's exactly what you should be doing. What I don't want to hear is that was pretty tough stuff and there was a lot there and I'm not going to work on it. Right? This is the work of business ownership. This is the responsibility. And so, without wagging a finger at you, I'm so glad that you I saw lots and lots of people, clicking on the link and downloading the worksheet. And I hope you just print it out. And if nothing else, you put your aspiration in here. You put that strategic focus, the strategic goal that I kind of gave you as a sample. If you put that in there and then just put it up on your wall. Put it up on your wall, and as the thoughts come to you about improving revenue, improving gross profit, right, improving customer satisfaction, and improving leadership, as those thoughts come to you over the course of the remaining 21 sessions in BusinessPRO TV, you just write that down, and we're going to come back to this thing. Okay, we're going to come back to this thing. Yes, John. Thanks for that. It is a great roadmap, and I live and die by these things. Right? I'm just a simple guy. And so I live and die by these things. All right, let's. I think we're ready to get on with it. So the amazing power of price and confidence. We got a full set of slides here. So let's sit back, relax. Let me grab a cup of tea. Remember, you can use the chat. I'm not gonna break. I'm just gonna go through for the next kind of 40 or 45 minutes, but I will, and Steph will as well. We'll be watching the chat, and I'll do my best to keep up with any questions that come along. Okay, the amazing power of price and confidence. So in previous sessions that I've done this course, so these 7 episodes are actually pulled from a pricing course that I've done several times. Hey, Sheila. And at the end of every lesson and at the end of the course itself, as you know, I always ask for feedback. And this is what people told me about pricing and their business in general. I want my business to experience this. I want my business to ensure that my pricing supports my ability to grow. It's awesome. Of course we do. I want my customers to experience this. I want my customers to experience excellent service at the right price for each client based on their needs and ability to pay. Let's go back over that one again, because there's lots in that sentence. And again, this is stuff that I'm getting from business owners just like you. Excellent service at the right price, but the right price for each client based on their needs and ability to pay. Now, for those of you who are watching the first 5 episodes, we went through this, canvas, the business canvas, right? Those 4 columns. And in there, we started to pull apart our clients' challenges and attributes, right? Because no client is different. And we also then start to break apart our own offerings into their different pieces, because no offering is different. And you can see that that canvas, which we're going to come back to, naturally leads us into pricing, because now if we've got multiple different types of customers and multiple different products that relate to those different customers in different ways, then surely to goodness, no single price should fit everybody, just like no single product. And there's no one size fits all in the product, and there's no one price fits all. So this is an awesome comment. I also want my customers to experience confidence that my product or service will help them achieve their goal. And the word confidence in all the surveys that I've done on pricing, the word confidence appeared in almost 50% of the notes and commentary I received from the opening surveys. Okay, confidence about myself, but also confidence in the minds of my customers. And we're going to talk about that, because pricing, absolutely, in conjunction with everything else, it communicates a message that helps your clients, your customers feel confident. I want to experience this personally. Again, confidence that my product, my service are fairly priced to both my customers and me. And this is an issue that we're going to explore again in greater detail, right? This theme of balance between my needs and the business's needs and my customers' needs is so important, right? We're not trying to gouge them, and we don't want to be gouged by them either. It's got to be fair. So they have some control because they make the final decisions on the purchase. You know, it's a yes or no question. And some people think that this means that they have all the control. And we explored some of this in the transaction box and in customer dreams. We have lots of control in our hands through the pricing mechanism. So yeah, let's keep this sense of fairness and of balance uppermost in our minds as we go through this entire pricing series of episodes, right? And then finally, a friend of mine who has become a friend of mine, Manolo in the Philippines, wrote this: I want financial freedom. Heck, that's why I went into business in the first place. Of course we do, and pricing will absolutely help us get that. Okay, so I hope that this is resonating with you. And again, if I'm keeping an eye on the chat, right? If you've got any questions or comments you want to add to this, I'll try to get them as well, right? So here are the various pieces that we're going to go through today. We're going to talk about confidence. Then we're going to talk about costs, competition, customers, context, value pricing, and then we're going to come to a plan at the end. And you're going to see again the planning. We're going to revisit that one-page strategic roadmap, right? There's going to be some Q&A, of course. There's going to be a little bit of homework, a little bit of assignments. I've got workbooks. I've got worksheets that you're going to love, and I'm happy to answer. We'll start off every episode with any questions or comments, or we'll explore whatever you guys have wanted to talk about from the previous episode. This is going to be a full episode. I'll have a little more room in the next episodes, and I would love to hear from you, right? And just a reminder that I want you to treat, as you're going through all these episodes, I want you to be thinking about your own business. I've got examples from my life and from some of the research that I've done, but I want you to be thinking about your own business very much so, and using this your business as a living case study. Okay, let me just maximize this so you can see it. So immediately, here's what I want you to achieve immediately is to gain new insights and approaches, become aware of opportunities in your current pricing approach, and then create a specific 91-day plan to improve your pricing. Probably a little less than 91 days because I want to fit it into the time between now and December 31st of this year. Within a few, so that's immediately. That's within starting today. Within weeks, I want you to actually start experiencing improvements in revenue, gross margin, and cash flow. This is how fast this stuff should work. And then within 3 months, I want you to achieve specific goals from your plan, support your strategy, and improve your brand. And I want you to start to feel confidence from the alignment of customer and value and pricing. So, and this 3-month goal, we'll achieve some of it between now and the end of December, but then you're going to come roaring into 2018. Q1, first quarter of 2018, you're going to be just set to really kick some serious, well, I don't have to tell you what you're going to kick, right? Okay, the power of pricing. Let me just sit here on this screen for a bit so you can read it. This is from a PricewaterhouseCoopers study that they did with Fortune 500 companies, one of the 500 largest companies in the world. And all of these people, they're not us, right? But what's interesting about those companies is that they have people who are paid to price. That's their only thing that they do, is they're there to price products and services. And they have teams to help to price products and services. And so PricewaterhouseCoopers went back to these people and did a survey, which was called the Power of Pricing. And they came up with this: 87% of the people that responded to that survey, these are the experts, do not have deep insight into their customers' willingness to pay. I'm telling you this because These people have no more clue about pricing than you do right now. By the end of these 7 episodes, you will be well beyond in fact, probably in the next 2 episodes, you'll be well beyond what these people who are paid a lot of money to do pricing, what their awareness is, right? This survey went on to say this, that 60% of those respondents included simple rules such as cost to markup or matching competitors. So Colleen, if you've lost my sound, if anyone else has lost sound, let me know. But you should be able to just refresh your browser and the sound should come back. All right. So again, that's all that they did, is they just basically included these simple rules. And those simple rules, as you're about to find out, are actually lead us into a bad place. Okay. So the bad news is that the pricing knowledge that's out there is awful. The good news is that it's probably awful in our competitors. And so we have an opportunity now to acquire a really powerful skill that few people have, right? Let's get a baseline of how you price. This is a message, a live message that I got from one of the people that were taking one of my pricing courses. And they sent me this email, and I've stroked out their name and their customer, their product name and their company name to protect the innocent. But they said this, hi, Alex, I got a question. We want to put a price, and I want you to get ready. I want you to listen to this, and I want you to get ready on your keyboard and let me know. I'm going to ask you a question, and I'm going to want you to put one word into the chat in just a second. Hi, Alex, got a question. We want to put a price on our products, but all things considered with costs, etc., our estimate is higher than our competition. In other words, what we think should be our price is higher than our competition. I am thinking to go slightly lower, and I'm thinking that it is better to go up in price if we need to, but going down in price if we need to is probably weird. I would love to hear thoughts about that if you have any, says Katie. So here's my question to you. What do you think Katie should do? Should she set her price higher than her competitors, lower than her competitors, or the same as her competitors? So fire up your fingers while I have a bit of tea and just put one word in, higher, lower, or the same. I'll wait for just a second. I think I'm loving you people. Okay, keep going. Anyone lower? Anyone say lower? Okay, good. Okay, you all pass. You can turn off the lesson now. You've done such a fabulous job. Awesome. And we're going to come back to Katie in just a few minutes. But just remember what she's talking about, right? I figured out my costs. It's coming up a little bit higher. The price probably should be a little bit higher than my competitors, but I'm thinking I should go lower than my competitors. Okay, so let's go and look at people who do an awesome job of pricing. And Claudine's adding in there, right? Depends on how she wants her product to be perceived, right? It's awesome. That's a really insightful comment, Claudine. We'll come back to that as well. So let's take a look at some people who have a couple of companies that do pricing really, really, really well. And I just pulled up an image of the iPhone X that Apple just released, I think it was last week. And because they do an awesome job, right? What they do Apple, whatever they do, helps to set the aspirational and emotional tone for their products and services. And when they set a price, their price has little or no bearing on the cost of their product. And that's one of the things the lessons that I want to leave you with. And here's the result of what happens, right? So here's one of the powers of pricing is to just take a look at the financial statement. So this is one of Apple's recent quarters. I think this is 6 months ago. And take a look at their, first of all, tons of current assets. They got these are all, looks like millions. These are billions, right? These are all the zeros. So these are expressed in billions. So they have $93 billion in current assets, of which like 18 billion of that is cash. And so total assets of $305 billion. and total liabilities of 179 billion. And if you subtract the two, you come up with a book value of 126 billion dollars in assets. Now, again, we're not Apple, but Apple started off with, as any startup company, in the garage, and what they've done is they've used the power of their pricing to generate profit, and that profit has created a very, very, very strong balance sheet. So that's what they're doing, and they apply this sense of aspirational, value-based pricing to everything that they do, from the design of their products to their marketing, of course. To the delivery. When you buy a product from Apple and it's delivered, anyone else will just, like if you buy a computer from Dell, or I don't even know who sells computers now, right? And they'll just ship it, and you come home from work and it's just, there it is outside your door. Not Apple. Apple makes sure that you have to sign for everything that they send you. Why? Because when you sign for something, there's an implicit sense of the value of this thing, right? So what they also then want to do is make sure that the pricing is aligned with that sense of value. And they do that with everything, on every sale, every transaction, every product, every app that's in their app store, every song, every movie. So that's Apple. So Starbucks, very, very different from Apple, but a company that we can all relate to no matter where in the world we are, because we all understand, going out and getting a cup of coffee. And you could do a case study every time that Starbucks raises their prices. And in fact, people do case studies every time Starbucks raises their prices, because they don't just go and just like raise their prices 10% across the board or whatever or 10 cents across the board. What they do is they raise it, in this headline here, customers will pay 10 cents to 30 cents for certain coffees, certain espressos, and certain lattes. And then they monitor the response of that in a variety of different ways. What they're helping to do is use their pricing to help select the types of customers that they want. And in all of whenever I do a live workshop, we always have, try to do some kind of live thing where I talk about people who are Starbucks fans and people who are, the local coffee companies fans. And there's some pretty strong emotion in the room. People who love Starbucks, people who hate Starbucks, people who love their, in Canada, it's Tim Hortons coffee is one of them, or they hate Tim Hortons, right? It's pretty strong. And what Starbucks does, they know that coffee ain't coffee, that they're selling something that's a little bit different, and they're using their price to help select the people who want to be Starbucks customers, right? Their price has even less bearing on the cost of their product than, for example, Apple products. And here's what's happened over the years, not as to the same extent as Apple with 129 billion of net, but Starbucks still a very, very profitable company with lots of value. Okay, pricing isn't an afterthought. It plays a strategic role that supports or aligns with everything that Starbucks does. Let me take a break here for just a sec. All right, so here's a 2017 Camry XLE priced in Canadian dollars. And if you were just to be flipping the pages of the newspaper, I don't know if people still do that, or flipping the pages of your internet and looking for a new car, in Canada, you would see the price of this car. Yeah, it's 36 grand, 36,000. That's the price of a 2017 Camry. Now, what happened here? I just made a single change. I just changed the price of this car. Now, what's the question that comes to mind if you're flipping these pages, 36, 36, 36, and then, ooh, $21,997? The first question that naturally jumps into your mind is, what's wrong with it? It must be a used car. Yeah, exactly. Thanks, John. What's wrong? Psychologically, a lower price makes us think and ask negative things. And we are surprisingly sensitive to even very small differences in price. Okay? Very small difference in price. If it's lower, cause us to ask negative things. What's missing? What's wrong? Has it been in an accident? I'm going to be looking underneath the chassis to see if there's oil coming out of it, right? All right, let's set the price back up to $36,000. Okay, let's forget about that $21,000 one that we just saw, right? $36,000. We're flipping through our internet again, and all of a sudden, ooh, I see this one. Ooh, $47,000. Whoa, what makes that car so special? That's awesome. I wonder what, I'd like to figure out, what is it, leather? Is it got a sunroof? Is it got, it must have that bigger motor, or that, you know, maybe it's the green motor. That's something special about that, right? Psychologically, higher prices prompt our brains to ask positive questions about products and services. They create a sense of aspiration. They create a sense of desire. And so can you see, just take that lesson, a little lesson, can you see how this directly impacts on our marketing stories and our sales efforts? If those things are aligned, if we're trying to set ourselves up as premium or premier or the best or most trusted or well-respected or any of these things, and we have the price that is mismatched, if they're aligned, the pricing supports our efforts. If they're misaligned, pricing creates a conflict in the minds of potential customers, and it creates friction in the marketing and sales process. What it does is it causes people to stop, because, and sometimes they don't know why they're stopping, but it just doesn't feel right, right? And we're going to talk about, again, you know who I'm going to talk about. We're talk about Simon Sinek again, right? We really, as business owners, have to get this right. Okay, let me keep going. Okay, you're walking in the mall. So this is based on actual tests that they've done with products. And Steph, I know I've taken Steph out, but I know she can still hear me. So I told you there's going to be a lot of ice cream in this session, right? So you're walking in the mall and you see a display. And there are 6 times where there's 24 options of, it doesn't matter what the options are, right? It could be an ice cream. In this case, it's ice cream, right? Different colors and different styles and different this and different that, right? Wow. Tons of interest. And there's an offer for a free sample. 60% of people who are walking by this display in this study stopped and tried a free sample. That's exactly what you want, right? You want people to stop. 60% is huge. Stopped and had a sample. Okay? Walking in the mall, next day, same place, different display. 3 things, not 24. In this case, only 40% stopped for a free sample. Okay, so that's a 1/3 reduction from 60% to 40%. That's significantly off, right? But the net people who purchased something was up by more than 10 times. 10 times. Not twice, not 10%, 10 times. What's the rule here? It's the lesson. Too many choices makes it demotivating. It grabs our attention and it pulls us in, but then we have trouble making the decision. We have trouble choosing amongst more than whatever the number is, whatever the magic number is, right? And the magic number is kind of 3 or 5. That's right. So Ditry you're exactly right. Too many choices is overwhelming, and it causes us to pause. 10 times. It's unbelievable. Here's 2 things, slightly different. I mean, they look the same, right? But it could be, you know, vanilla and chocolate, right? Let's just say. And they're priced exactly the same. This is demotivating. It doesn't motivate, yeah, right? Yeah. Change the price by a penny. 1 penny up and 1 penny down, and 67% more people purchased than by having 2 things identically priced. You could be identical things, and by just making a tiny bit of difference, what it does is it creates interest. There's a story. There's a good guy or a bad guy. I'm forced to make a choice between one or the other. 67% more people. It's awesome. Bundling. You've seen this, right? One ice cream cone, $1.49, 4 for $5.96. Well, if you take 4 times $1.49, you'll end up with $5.96. So I'm not saving any money. It turns out that people are attracted to bundles, even if it doesn't save them money. And it also increases the sales of the single item as well. So when you're going through, listen, one of the reasons I'm telling you this is because I want you to, these are things that you can use, tactics and strategies you can use in your own business. But I also want you to be aware, next time you're going shopping for anything in the grocery store, in particular, right? There's all kinds of things that are going on that you were previously unaware of. And it's not even like $1.49 and $5.96. Like there's really blatant right now. It's just like items were $2 and 3 for $6. So like they're not even trying to confuse us with math. Like this is a math problem here, right? A lot of people wouldn't know that $5.96, they're not saving any money, right? They would make an assumption that, oh, if I'm going to buy 4, I'll save some money. Look, it's $5.96. No, it doesn't matter. As soon as you're bundling something, people are attracted to it, even if it doesn't save them money. And sales of the single unit go up. Pricing tells stories. So here are 3 stories. What I want you to do is think in your head, who are they and what are they trying to tell us? Okay, so here's what I think, starting off with a 99-cent one. Hey, want a yummy treat to cool you down? And there's the middle one. Want some delicious ice cream from the ice cream experts? That's what I'm kind of getting there, right? And you can see there's other things that are going on as well with that second one, right? There's the curl. For those of you who are in North America, this is an iconic company. They do a great job of marketing, fantastic job. And that curl, I mean, how do you differentiate freaking ice cream? Well, they did it by this curl, right? And then the third one, man, look at that price. I do not know what's in that ice cream, but I really want to try that. Like that must be some kind of fantastic ice cream. So of course, here's the answers. The first one is McDonald's. And for McDonald's at 99 cents, I'm not even sure that's ice cream, right? I don't know what it is. It's a cool treat for sure, but I don't know if it's ice cream. Dairy Queen, we already know, like they've just banged on this message for their entire life. Great ice cream from the ice cream specialists. So, and there's no surprise that the one on the end is special. Small batch, handmade, sustainable, ethical, organic, free of common allergens, GMOs, and more. I think, Steph, I think I told you this. I think I grabbed this from your website, from your ice cream company, right? So just by looking at the price, I knew it was going to be super delicious. I knew it. But here's what too many of us actually do. We do this. We take our premium product and we spend all kinds of time developing it and designing it and making it premium and all the rest of that stuff. We get great marketing. And then what we do is we undermine that whole thing by putting a price that's kind of somewhere in between in the competitive mix. And so now what am I going to do? Well, I know who the cheap one is. And so if I just want a cool treat and I want to save some money, I'm going there. Hey, listen, if I want a really, really good ice cream cone, I'm going there. And I know both those companies, so I know what I'm going to get, right? What does this story tell me? This story tells me nothing. I'm middle of the road. I don't know who you are. I have no idea. You're not telling me anything with the price. And so therefore, the price just by itself has killed that option in the minds of at least me. And I hope you're feeling the same thing, right? So I'm going to have a sip of my tea, but what I want you to do is take a minute right now and write down a product or a service that you offer right now where you just might be doing something like this, right? And then just take a minute and imagine what the price should be. And then let's keep that product or service in mind as we go through the rest of these episodes. And let's see if we can find a place where the pricing maybe could be, okay, or maybe should be. So take a minute right now. All right, let's get on to it. As their ability to compete on price or assortment is decreasing, retailers are increasingly focusing on pricing strategies which have their roots in psychology. It used to be back in the day, pre-internet for sure, where you actually could compete in a variety of different ways. But because all you have to do is you have to go on the internet and you can see in one square foot of space, you can see the same product 17 different ways with the same price. How am I going to possibly differentiate myself? And so what's happening is you've just seen, this is the Journal of Retailing and Consumer Services. Like, this is what's been happening over the last 5-10 years. These pricing approaches may influence even high consequence decisions, including buying a house, enrolling in a pension scheme or pension plan, and taking out a high interest loan. So what's happening is that they're using these pricing tactics and strategies, just so you know, to influence consumers. And without us going much further than that, we can end up paying a lot of extra money for a product that may be just the same as any other product. So we had just dug a little different. Now, why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this from a couple of reasons. One of them, again, because as a consumer, it's important for you to be aware of what's going on. And I think you will be surprised as you think about pricing over the course of the next few episodes. But again, not that I want you to be using these pricing techniques and tactics to confuse or manipulate your customers, but I want you to be aware of what's going on out there amongst your competitors, and that you can create your pricing strategy in a way that uses this power for good. I mean, that's ultimately what I want you to do, right? Okay, where are we now? Oh, there we go. Okay, so this is a long-term game, being in business, and this pricing stuff and all the things we started to learn. And I know it's a lot, but think about this. Brand, I'll just get rid of this for a sec, or I'll move it out of there for a sec. Let me give you a formula. Brand, people want, what's brand? Brand isn't just a logo or making all your products and look and feel the same. Brand is actually equal to the sum of all of the experiences that somebody has with your firm and of your firm. So this is the sum of all the experiences that somebody has with your company or of your company. With your company, when they see your website and they talk to you and the email response and their products and all the rest of that stuff. And so all those things are with your company directly. And then of your company, it's social media. It's like, oh, you know what? I love those guys. Or, oh, you don't go there. I hate those guys. Or their ice cream is the best in the city, right? That's of, right? So all these things together. And so what we're trying to do here with pricing, with everything we do, is to make sure that there is a complete alignment, that the marketing, which is the promise of the experience promise, the experience that we are promising our users, hey, if you do this, we're going to deliver, we promise to deliver an experience like that, right? Then there's the pricing, which is the value promise, right? Then we have the customer experience, the actual experience of when I get the product or the service, I receive it, and then that collectively builds or undermines the trustworthiness of how they feel about you, which ultimately is the brand, the total of the experiences that they've had with you, the marketing experience, pricing experience, customer experience, right? All these things have to be in alignment, right? Pricing by itself won't make your business successful, but pricing by itself can single-handedly break your business, can single-handedly break it, right? What we want to do is we want to make sure that it supports and reinforces all the other things we're doing in the medium and in the long term. Okay, pricing truth number one. When our pricing is aligned, it supports everything that we do. Now let's go on to the 3 biggest pricing mistakes, and we've all made them. There's a story here, And I'm just going to leave this with you for a sec. But you know, when you are walking down the street and you see a delivery truck like this, right? A delivery truck, or it's a plumber truck or an electrician's truck. You know, it's one of those service people, right? When you see a truck like this, there's actually a pricing story behind it, and the pricing, you know, that they've made at least one and probably all three of the next three mistakes, right? And it's not just this is a very obvious example that many of us can relate to. We've seen this, but you can also tell. You can also tell in businesses. I used to sell to medical clinics, and 1 year I was inside and out of. Over the course of a couple of years, I was in and out of 1,500 medical clinics. And it got to the point where I could tell by driving up, never mind even going into it, just driving up to the medical clinic, which ones knew how to run a business and which ones didn't, right? And it's because, you know, the ones that did had the money to keep their trucks and their equipment and their parking lot and their outside blind, everything in good repair. And this person did not. Okay, so the first mistake is that we don't include all of our costs. So this is a really nasty one. It's where almost every pricing exercise starts. And so if you don't include all your costs, you're going to be starting from a place that's too low. And the reason it's nasty is that we routinely get this wrong in three areas. First of all, we don't think about all of our current costs and things that affect cash flow. We forget to include things like loan payments, finance charges. We sometimes exclude marketing costs. So when we're thinking about our costs, our revenue that we get from our customers, which is based on our price, has to cover off everything that we spend in our business, which includes everything, including marketing costs and loan payments and everything else. And if we ignore those, we'll set our price too low. We exclude ourselves, or we just include a minimum, right? We're in a startup mode in the first year, and so we're not, we don't want to impact our cash flow, and so we only take out, let's say, $1,000 a month or $2,000 a month. And we really want to make $5,000. But as we're going through our costs, we're setting our price, and we go through our costs because we know we're supposed to factor in all of our costs. We use then that $1,000 cost that we're using right now. But again, what's happening is that price is now set at a price that's at a cost that's too low. This is a particular problem for startups and young companies. And then the third problem about not factoring in all our costs is we don't think about the future. Hey, it's just us, and I'm only taking out $1,000 a month, and I'm running the business from our home, and so I don't have an office space, and I'm doing all the work myself, so including my own bookkeeping, so I'm not keeping track. So what I'm doing is my costs are artificially low, and so if I set my price based on my cost, my price is going to be artificially low. And that, again, we got to think about the future. Well, I'm ultimately going to need an office space. I'm going to want to pay myself more. I'm going to need staff. I'm going to need this. I'm going to need that, right? We need to think about the future, okay? Because otherwise what happens is that the plumber who leaves his plumbing job or her plumbing job to start out on their own goes, well, I've already got a truck. I'll just use that. I'm only going to take a couple of $1,000. I'm just going to use that. My spouse is going to do the books, so I don't need to worry about that. And so therefore, I only need $3,000 a month, to cover off the basics. And I've got the tools and everything else. So I think I can sell 100 hours of my time doing plumbing. And so therefore $3,000 a month, $100, I'll just cover my costs and I'll set my rate at $30 an hour. But what happens is that a year from now, the truck needs work, or the truck's got to be, traded in, and a new truck. So I now get a truck payment, which I didn't factor in. Well, that's another $400 or $500 or $600. My tool, I need new tools. I really got to get a bookkeeper now because there's a lot of stuff going through here. Well, that's another $200, $300, $400 a month. I've got to get an accounting. There's year-end stuff. Oh my goodness, I forgot about that. Now I'm an employer and I'm paying myself. I got to take off deductions. That's another 15%. And what ends up happening is that all those other things have to be paid. Banks got to be paid. So I either sacrifice and don't pay the things, like I don't get the new truck, which means that the truck gets older and older and older and older and wears out. And that's why you see these rusted trucks from plumbers and electricians, driving around, some of them. Or I continue to do the books myself and do a bad job of it, or I sacrifice my evenings and week. You see what I'm having? You see this? We put ourselves in this place that's really not very good. The second major issue is we then figure out our costs, for better or for ill, and then all we do is we just simply add a percentage. We go, yeah, if I made 20% more, or $10 an hour more, or whatever the number is, I just added a simple percentage to my costs, right? So there are times when a cost plus approach is appropriate and useful, but it's absolutely deadly when, first of all, we've miscalculated our costs, and second of all, it's not flexible. It does not allow us to take advantage of the opportunities that present ourselves due to the variety of different situations, the variety of different customers that we have, the variety of their different needs and characteristics. And we're going to talk about all of this in episode 12, I think it is, or 11, in much greater detail, right? And then we too often use this price as the ceiling price. In other words, we never price our product or service higher than our cost plus this percentage. So we artificially put a ceiling on ourselves. Okay, that's what we do, right? It's very limiting. Third thing, we assume that we must be consistent with our competitors. It just kills me. It kills me, right? So there's no doubt that we need to be aware of our competitors. After all, our competitors are well aware, our customers, are well aware of their prices. And so, we need to be as well. But the mistake that we're tempted to make is to use, again, our competitors' prices, like Katie, as another ceiling, right? As a limiting factor. We assume that our competitors know how to properly price things. We assume that their strategy and their objectives and their products and the customers that they're going after are similar to ours. Well, we don't know that, but we make that assumption. And as we saw in the PricewaterhouseCoopers study, 87% of our competitors don't do a good job. They don't know what they're doing. And so by using them as models, we're using very, very bad models. Okay. Yeah, I could talk about this for 2 hours, right? Here's where we end up, right? We have this line here is our actual product or service cost. So if I perfectly, figured out what my cost was, that's what it would be, is this line right here, right? And what we do, mistake number one, is we miscalculate that, right? Then what we do is, if we're using mistake number, 2, we just, add a percentage to that. We've now set our line right here. And you can see how we've squeezed ourselves. We've squeezed our gross margin without even knowing about it, right? And also, if we're using this as a ceiling, it's preventing us from examining a world of other pricing opportunities, right? And probably causes us to leave money on the table. Not probably, guaranteed. And then the third price is that we take a look at our competitors, and we allow them to put a cap on our prices. So even if we, had set our prices here and we were allowing ourselves to kind of float up or down, right? And we look at our competitors and we're really scared to go higher than them. And so what we do is we use them, our competitors. It's like we bring our competitors into our planning sessions. We expose our strategy to them and our deepest thinking, and we let them tell us how we should price ourselves, right? This is our game. It's not their game, right? Why would we want to let our arch enemies have that much control over our business? So again, back to Katie. Katie, who said, yeah, I think I should have been up around here a little higher, but instead I think I want to come here because for whatever reason, I feel it's more natural. It's a safer place to be. And I want to say that psychologically, it's a very, very difficult thing to climb up that particular ladder and to go higher. And what we're going to use this as literally a ladder. We're going to use these as rungs on a ladder so that we will climb up, and we will help Katie and the rest of us get higher, right? What we've done here is if we have allowed our competitors and our cost plus approach, we create a pricing box that fundamentally affects our business and puts a cap on our ability to make money. It caps our ability to grow and just caps our ability just generally to be successful. You know, like I've got a big monitor over here and I'm looking at this slide. I hope you're looking at this slide. And I feel claustrophobic when I look at this slide, right? It feels like I'm in a coffin, right? The pricing box prevents us from examining the full universe of pricing possibilities. Okay, I want to talk about confidence. That's some of the power of pricing, right? And some of the problems with pricing. And now what I want to talk about is like, how do we get around that? How do we get better at this? And the first thing I want to talk about is confidence. And this is something that you'll never see in any other pricing course. I mean, I've never seen it in any other pricing course, and yet it is fundamental to our ability to be successful. Pricing truth number 3 from my boating instructor, Captain John Fairweather. He's the guy. He's got the best name for a boating captain ever with Fairweather. It's the things you can't see that'll do you the most harm. This is a picture that I actually took when I was on a boat last summer. I can't remember exactly where I was here, but the water looks like it's clear. I'm in a 50-foot powerboat right here with my wife and 4 friends, and it turns out that right here, if we were to just head for the middle of this particular channel, right here there's what's called a castle rock, a rock that just comes up out of nowhere, and this is like only 3 feet of water. I need 5 feet to get this boat. I need 5 feet of water in order to get this boat. And there's a rock that's 3 feet underneath there. And so if you don't know, that it's there, it's going to kill you. And I think that's or do you some harm, ruin the holiday for sure, right? And confidence is one of those things. We're going to go back to, again, a few episodes ago, we talked about Simon Sinek, and he talked about the 3 golden circles. And what he talked about what he talked about, I didn't use this image, I used a different one. But what he says is that in the 3 circles that he talked about, why, how, and what, that we are all dealing with our intellectual verbal, the outside. We communicate verbally, right? We make decisions verbally. We set our price by being intellectual about it, and then we think we make decisions because we've been writing things down and being intellectual about it and following, all this good advice. But what ends up happening is that there's this internal biological kind of old part of ourselves, that it actually controls what happens. And so even if we intellectually find ourselves, like Katie did, wanting to set the price here, somewhere, we feel that we shouldn't. We feel more comfortable when we set it lower. And so what I'm trying to do here is I want to talk about, this is the sense of confidence, the confidence that we have in ourselves, in our products, in our services, in our marketing, in our ability to run and manage a business, and just how the world perceives us, and the confidence in our cash flow, all those things. Whenever we are not feeling totally rock solid in those things, then our confidence tends to undermine whatever the decisions that we're making. And that's what I wanted to talk about here is, in particular, when it comes to pricing. There's so much of this biological rooted tummy stuff that's going on that you may not even be aware of it. We're not going to solve it in this episode, but all I want you to do is to be aware of it, right? These are some of the things that I've heard from people who have taken this course before, or people in live workshops. I am a bit of a bleeding heart for small business owners, and I want to be affordable to them, sometimes to my own detriment. Our heart goes out to other people who may be struggling or maybe think that they can't afford our services, and so we want to be affordable to them. We want to give them do good work, right? So there's an aspect of self-sacrifice here. And I mean, I could have written this line myself, right? Yeah, so Sheila, thank you for chiming in, Sheila. That is me as well, okay? Absolutely. I I tend to charge less than I'm worth because I feel bad charging more. There's this feeling, I feel bad charging more. Actual quote. I would like to be able to do some work for clients who cannot afford to pay me. This isn't quite the same, but it is allowing the perceived ability to pay of others, what we perceive other people, how much they can pay, to intrude on our appropriate pricing. So again, just like we allowed our competitors to put a cap on what we price, now what we're doing is we're allowing our perception of our customers' ability to pay to force down our pricing, right? We're going to come back to this. So some questions to think about, right? Ask your customer, what's more important, lower price or a service or product that works well? Ask your customers that, or just in your mind imagine that. And would you want to deal with customers that are only interested in lower price? Ask your customer, is it important that I be here to support you in the future? Some customers may say no. Some customers would say yes. Do you really want to be dealing with customers that say no, or potential customers that say no? Ask yourself, do you want to deliver your best over the medium and the long term? No or yes. This is motherhood, right? I know every single one of you out there wants to deliver the best that you can deliver over the medium and long term. And this goes back to the very first slide I talked to you about, which is the definition of an entrepreneur, the definition of a business owner, right? Creativity and cash, and how we actually want to create this little engine that allows us to continue to be creative and do a better job. So here's what someone said to me. To understand I want to understand the real value of my products and know I constructed my prices in such a way that I can, first of all, be transparent about it with my potential customers, and also know that it's a good deal for me as well as for my clients, right? So there's that sense of balance there. There's that sense of balance and aspirational alignment. Yeah, there's I got a bunch of notes here and just going through it, but you know, if we think of ourselves as the captain of a ship, right? My friend John Fairweather, you know, we wouldn't knowingly cause our ship to sink, would we? Would we knowingly drive over that castle rock? We absolutely would not. So now that you understand this about your business, you know, we wouldn't knowingly allow our business to sink. And we, as purchasers of other people's product, we don't want them to sink either, right? It's got to be fair. Here's a little something else, right? Here's Bill Gates. I have no use for money. This is God's work. And so he's given away, you know, that was 6 months ago, $28 billion. And he intends to eradicate polio and et cetera, right? And then hard on his heels, Warren Buffett said that, you know, he's got an agreement with this guy, with Bill Gates. And he's going to be giving away billions of dollars. And then Zuckerberg said with his wife, they've pledged 99% of their fortune to various social causes, right? So that's awesome for these guys. I mean, well done, all of you. Except that what they've done is they're doing things the opposite way that maybe we want to emotionally, right? So when we say here, you know, the types of clients that I want to serve are the ones that have those with less. And then ultimately, as my business gets more successful, I will then grow my business and get to be able to charge more and deal with clients that are able to afford more, right? If we do this, what ends up happening is this never happens. What ends up happening is we get stuck here. Where we start is where we continue. If you don't have the margin, you can't grow your business. You can't grow your product. You can't get better. You can't create the brand that means top quality. So I would propose that you'd be thinking about this. This is how Bill Gates and the others did it. They went out there and they made their money first, and then they decided to give their money away. Look at big law firms, big accounting firms, where they have the ability to deliver pro bono work. Well, the only way that they can deliver pro bono or free, that's Latin for free, fancy phrase for free, But the only way that they can take on pro bono clients is because they've got a lot of other clients who are paying top rate, right? And I would say that the same thing is true of you. Let's make sure that we set our prices appropriately. And we go and find clients and customers that are willing to pay that much, because then now we have the ability to make decisions, keep it for ourselves, go on a holiday, take on pro bono, offer a lower price in a variety of different ways that I'm going to show you. Okay? And there's a bunch of different options. So consider this as you consider your pricing, right? First of all, pricing is not the huge issue that in the minds of our customers, that we sometimes think it is. Is it really powerful? Absolutely. But oftentimes we think that pricing is the factor that is going to get or prevent business from coming our way. And so we tend to move our price down, thinking that we don't want a higher price to get in the way. We think higher price gets in the way, right? But consider that most people want or expect to pay a fair price, and we don't want to deal with people who don't. Pricing is also a symbol for a whole bunch of other things. It's status, right? People buy, the gold-plated iPad Pro Premium Plus, because it's status. The original iWatch, with the gold plating, right? There was a $10,000 gold-plated iWatch, and that Apple sold, and they sold some, right? Pricing is reinforcement for what we're doing. People for reinforcement into how they think about themselves, right? People who have ego, who believe that they believe in quality, they're willing to spend the money because they think that reaffirms and reinforces their view of the world. Pricing, they think they want to invest in themselves by buying higher priced products, and then pricing is just a thought provoker. So lots in here. What I want you to do is to raise your right hand, and I'm sorry, I'm running a bit over, and I knew I probably would, but we're getting to the end of it. Raise your right hand, and let's, when we think about pricing, let's say, I will be good to myself and to my creativity. And I will create a profitable company. And then I will use that profit to support my community in however I decide to support my community. So if confidence, and about 60% of people, 60% of business owners, at the root of some of this stuff, confidence is an issue, then let's make sure that we find a way to at least acknowledge that it's an issue and then be aware of it. Other ways of being aware of it are, we're not going to resolve all this stuff, but in the worksheet, in the workbook that you'll be able to get in about an hour or sooner, I'm going to email it to you. There's a couple of pages in there, pages 5, 6, 7, and I've got 20 questions in there. And I'll give you, and they're just thought-provoking questions. I don't want to hear back from you on them unless you really want to share it with me. But really, it's what I want you to do. This is your real homework: is to sit quietly someplace for maybe 5 minutes or so, 10 minutes. Just sit quietly and just ask yourself these questions and see what surfaces, see what happens. So, for example, how do you feel about your own capabilities, and how do you feel about your own confidence? An antique dealer buys an heirloom from you. You see it advertised a week later at 7 times the price. How do you feel? They gave you $70, and then they went and they're selling it for $490. How do you feel about that? Somebody just complained online that your product or service is too expensive. How does that make you feel? Some customer just complained that you're too expensive online, in public. How do you feel about that? And then agree or disagree. You spent a big part of your life looking after others. And this is a question that I saw, I think, when I would do my very first pricing workbook live a number of years ago. And it was to a group of mostly female entrepreneurs. And I thought we were going to spend 45 minutes on pricing. Like, literally, that's how naive I was 5 years ago. And we ended up spending 3 hours. It was one of those moments I just had to, a live group, I just had to run with it. And we had tears, and we had issues from like family of origin issues. It was almost like being a counselor. Some of this stuff is deeply, deeply, deeply rooted. And I know that we want to help, in particular, some of the female entrepreneurs. I know that we're trained culturally and socially to help and to give and to support. And when we get out into business, it's what makes us really, really good business people on the one hand, because we are sensitive and we want to help and we do good service and we do right. But then we have to ask for something for ourselves. And that's the hard part. We have to ask to get something for what we're worth. And that's the hard part. So if you spend a big part of your life looking after others, you may find that price setting gets caught up in some of that stuff. Okay, any questions? Type them into chat. I got a couple of slides just to finish this thing off, but I'm willing to stay around for as long as you like. How to apply this stuff? First of all, complete the survey. Get the workbook and just quietly review. There's a few pages up ahead. You can read those, but then quietly review pages 5, 6, 7. Okay, it will only take 5 to 10 minutes. Really, workbook. Yeah, Rocky, we will speak on the freemium model as we get to into the other stages. Watch Simon Sinek's TED Talk if you haven't already, about the 3 qualities of a leader. He talks about this stuff, and then of course put episode 7 into your calendar, because that's when we're going to get into the next part of this awesome pricing topic. And we're going to talk about costs. We're going to dig into costs, and not only are we going to dig into costs, I think I got a slideshow here. Yeah, how to accurately factor all of your costs. We're going to talk about the 2 types of costs. We're going to show you how to consider the future so that you're not going to make those mistakes. We're going to show you how to consider yourself. And then I'm going to give you an introduction to a pricing spreadsheet, which of all the spreadsheets and worksheets that I've ever done is probably the single most valuable piece that I've ever built. And you're going to use that you're going to use it all the time. And we're going to spend some time actually showing you how to use it, because then it'll lead into your next piece of homework, right? Okay. Any questions? Can you please make sure that the link gets emailed to, please? Sarah, absolutely. Credits, of course. Stephanie's in the background. Stephanie, I wish I could have had more of you here. I'll bring you in just to say goodbye. Wish I could have had more of you on today.
All good.
But you can see tons of material. Next episode will be a little bit less. Any questions from you?
I don't think so. I think that everything that you touched on was really succinct and amazing. I was sitting here nodding and agreeing with a lot of it. As I said last time, this was largely a confidence game for me. I went through the gamut with a lot of the things that you said in terms of pricing. That pricing example was spot on. My ice cream is priced way higher than everybody in my market. And awesome. My company happens to be carving out a new pathway in the overall market in North America, at least. So I'm still committing to it, but you and I have talked about that otherwise. And online complaints and all that, it hits my confidence every time, guys, but I get stronger every time. And with people like Alex around, just confirming the business side of things, check your numbers, and it becomes easier. And the only last thing I'll say is there is a book out there called The Art of Asking by a woman named Amanda Palmer. She's married to Neil Gaiman, and she used to be a performer. And it is amazing about the art of asking and confidence when we feel we don't have any. So
awesome. If you could send me the links to that.
I will. Yes, I will.
5 minutes. I'll make sure that goes out in the resources for people. So thank you so much for that.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for tonight, Alex. It was a mouthful, but you got through it.
All right. Yeah, it was a mouthful. Just so Kimberly, yes, I did not get an invitation to episode 6. I know, and I apologize today. Normally I'm sending out emails. I'm actually a little bit sensitive to the amount of emails that I'm sending. I'm sending you an email ahead of time, and then I'm sending an email afterwards, and then there's my normal weekly emails are going out. So I haven't
Everybody says they're helpful, though. So, you know.
Good. Okay, fine.
As much as your sticky notes for your reminders for the YouTube recording, I think these are helpful for everybody too, myself included. Okay,
I'll keep sending them out. But Kimberly, you can always just, you know what the dates and times are. In fact, here they are again. I'll put them up so that everyone knows. The dates and times are always Tuesdays, always Thursdays, always 5 o'clock Pacific. And right now, it's f2f.live/AlexG. So just put that into your calendar, and just if you come there, you'll see us running. Now that address is going to change sometime next year, but sometime next week or whatever. But right now, that's what it is, right? Okay. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you just finished watching this on a video, please subscribe, please like. that really helps. And hey, it's free, so give back some of the love, appreciate it. And all the rest of you, so much appreciation from us to you. Enjoy pricing. I'm going to open the whole thing up to, so New Zealand is there as always. We're going to bring Ricky in. If anyone else wants to chat, all you have to do is click that Ask to Join button, and I would love to hear from you, even if you just said hi.
We'd love to see everybody's faces.
And also, it's an opportunity for you to learn or to use or to get, use this incredible tool that we're using here, which is an incredible way for you to reach out to your customers, to your clients. This face-to-face stuff has transformed how I communicate with an audience that literally is in 120 countries. You've seen me talk to people in Kenya, New Zealand for sure, South Africa, Scotland, Chicago, if you can imagine Chicago, a lot of guys down there, and of course Toronto. So let's bring in our friend in New Zealand.
Hi, Alex.
Yeah,
hi.
I absolutely love it. I actually, Ricky, remind us. Hi there, by the way. Remind us where you are exactly.
I'm in the South Island of New Zealand, Dunedin.
Okay, yeah, I've got a mentoring client that's right around there. He's a chef at a restaurant right around there. So I speak to him I guess it's Monday for me, so it's Tuesday morning for you guys.
Oh, that's great.
Amazing.
Wow. And when you talk to him, Steph, are you talking to him with face-to-face?
Yeah. I have all my clients over face-to-face. I've got one in Moscow. I've got one in New York City. I've got one in New Zealand and another one in Toronto. But we use this because it's so easy, and I've got my broken foot, so
you can't get there. Well, I also learned that Ricky. I just learned that today that New Zealand has on average the highest internet connectivity to its citizens of any country in the world.
Yeah, we're a country that often gets picked out to be test cases for a number of things. So we seem to be very receptive to change.
And is that true? Do you feel receptive to change?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's one of the reasons I'm here.
Maybe I should go.
That's good. What did you learn today, Ricky? You've seen the pricing stuff already, so right?
Yeah, I had. I did the full session about a year ago. It's great. It was really good to just reinforce the learnings I took from that. The big thing I think that I've learned a hell of a lot more about since we did it a year ago is the whole concept of behavioral economics. You touched on it briefly, but that whole psychology of purchase is really driving things around the world now.
Yeah. Because all you're seeing a screen that's about this big, and you're seeing like literally 17 of the same thing. And so, how on earth do we motivate behavior? How do we stand out? I mean, it's just if you get any research, because I know you're a reader, and if you've got any research or books that you want to share with me, I'd be delighted to pass them on to other people as well. But just my own interest, I find pricing a compelling topic.
Yeah, it's something I am doing work on. Aside from doing a wine app, one of the things I'm working on is this whole concept of behavioral economics and cognitive bias. And the one you just referred to is actually the paradox of choice. So it absolutely
paradox of choice.
Yeah, paradox of choice. If you look that up, you'll find out exactly what you told us today is exactly what that is.
I think you've sent me that before. Paradox of choice. I'm just making a note.
It sounds appropriate. Very appropriate.
Yeah, no, it really is. It really is. And so, and how are you going to do? Have you figured how you're going to price the wine app? Like you've talked about freemium model.
Yeah, we've got a number of. Well, first and foremost, we've got to look at that monetization possibilities, but we've also got to look at the client possibilities. And as you've just pointed, the prices for different clients and different situations can be different. So, but it's a case of chicken and egg. You've got to get people like you're doing right now to actually know there's a thing out there called Wine and Mind, just like there's a thing out there called face-to-face broadcasting, face-to-face live. So it's a progressive process.
Yeah, good. Well, and I sent you, I don't know if you watched that link I sent you today, but there's I can't remember the guy's name, but he is a guy who is successful. And, he's often, his friends will sit down with him and say, hey, you know what, you're very successful. You're very lucky. And he just went off on this like 6-minute rant about how it has nothing to do with luck. It has everything to do with, working my buns off to learn the things that I have to learn and test the things that I have to test, and stay up the evenings and the weekends and then as he was going on his rant, it was showing the 1-second clip from each of the online videos that he had done over the course of the lifetime of his business. And by the end of that 6 minutes, it had got to 1,000. And so I'm sitting here thinking, okay, well, this is episode 6 of BusinessPRO TV. Oh man. And I know the level of effort that goes into just like one of these. There's about 1,000 of them, right?
Yeah.
So
the guy Gary, I can't pronounce his last name, but he's been doing that for,
Gary Vaynerchuk?
Yeah.
He's the king of social media.
Yeah, exactly. And he stepped away from it a few years ago, but he just actually came back with that 1,000th episode just recently. Yeah. Really interesting approach.
Well, and I was going to say to you, and I would say to F2F as well, and I'd say to everybody, another topic for another time, but social media, especially today, is that's how I built my business. I invested in no advertising up front. I did it for 4 years. I hustled my butt over all social media, particularly Instagram, because of I own an ice cream company and people eat with pictures and things, just like you with wine. Take a ton of pictures, put them on Instagram. There's a couple apps out there that can help you out, but my following in a year grew to 10,000 people, and it's still growing now, even though I'm in a little bit of a hibernation. My personal following is 24,000, almost 25,000 people in less than a year. So it's just social media, no money, just a little bit of time every day.
Yep. I spend a lot of time actually looking in Pinterest. I find it's a fantastic mind map for actually not only seeing pictures, but for digging deeper. It's a really good tool.
And the wonderful thing that Gary teaches everybody too is you pick one platform, you make a post, visual content is big, and then you cross-post it to every single platform, including Pinterest, and you reach a whole network of people with one button, and it's fantastic. So this is stuff that I've learned in my spare time through making ice cream. That's, but hey, it pays off. And with a food business like yours, you can't go wrong. Especially, I like the good look of a glass of red wine. You can't beat it. So.
And you do have to think a little bit further, and I'm sure you do. You're not actually selling ice cream; you're selling an experience.
Exactly.
As long as you think it in those terms, the world's your oyster.
Yes, exactly. Yep. I mean, I posted things, everything from our mission and values. And, it could be a nice picture of an ice cream that gets people's attention, but then you have an opportunity to discuss and back up your integrity and back up why you're unique and back up if there's any questions or comments about pricing structure. If there's any comments about, I received some online complaints once and I created a post to address it. And it's one of still the most favorited posts because I was genuine about it and I responded to customer feedback directly. So yeah, it's amazing. It's really amazing. And if you can harness it, Gary Vaynerchuk, absolutely amazing. His book, I'll send it to you, Alex, as well, just because I'm talking about it. But Jab, 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 Right Hook is still a #1 book discussing all platforms and your level of engagement, the audience that you're speaking to, and how to do it if you're going to do it yourself. So
that'd be brilliant.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool.
Awesome. Hey, what else? When you're doing this at 10 in the morning right now?
We're about 20 past 2 in the afternoon now.
Oh, it's like the island floats around this temporal 2 in the afternoon. Okay. Yeah. Good. And what do you got planned for the rest of the day?
I've got friends coming over for catch up and just a couple of nibbles and I guess a glass of wine. So weekend's heading up. So picking up my granddaughter tomorrow morning. She's the love of my life, apart from my wife. But just really enjoying her time.
You don't have a granddaughter. You're not old enough. Come on, really?
Yeah, no.
How old is your granddaughter?
She's 2.5. Yeah.
Oh, perfect age.
Yeah.
And you're probably just wrapped around her little finger, I'm sure, as any good grandfather is.
Yeah, the second person that's told me that today. And
oh, really?
Yeah, it's probably true.
This probably shows on your. It's because it shows on your face, Ricky. All right. Well, listen. If there's nothing else, no other news. Always great to see you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Everyone else who's still watching, and go do the homework. Sit down with that worksheet, and we will see you on Tuesday. I think it's Tuesday now, right?
Yes.
Tuesday, 5 o'clock Pacific. And thanks again.
Cheers.
Thank you.